Matt Lenihan Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store, being joined by Frank Warren. Frank, before we start talking boxing, how's things? How's things with you?
I'm good. I can't complain. What about yourself?
Yeah, likewise. Some were out yesterday, but it's absolutely pissed it down last night, and all my washing's gone. But apart from that, yeah, all
Oh,
good,
right.
all good. Wanted to start today with Tyson Fury, 36 years young.
Yeah, it's birthday today. Birthday boy.
Have you had much of an update from him in the past couple of weeks in relation to this rematch? A lot of talk about, him sticking with the corner and this, that, and the other. Have you had an update yourself?
I haven't spoken to him for I was in LA last week, and I've had a little break this week, so I haven't spoken with him. But plenty of time. It's not till December, and the fight 21st of December, so it's plenty of time for him to sort out what he wishes to do. Whatever he'll do, he'll do.
I saw an interview on the Stomping Ground with Oscar Bevis and Spencer Brown, and Spencer was saying, after a defeat, you wonder and worry sometimes how he was going to react to it, but it's had the opposite effect with him and kicked him on. He's never had this kind of challenge where he's, having to answer something back. Does that excite you, the version of Tyson we could see in December?
No, look, he's a very competitive guy, and he trains conscientiously all the time. Well, he certainly has done in the second phase of his career, since he come back and become champion again, and up until the loss. He knows what he's got to do. He's a very sensible guy. It was a very close fight last time out. No matter what anybody says, that's what it was, a split decision. And there were moments in that fight where he had the key to, I think he had the key to winning the fight, certainly in that seventh round, but it wasn't to be. And the thing about Tyson, he's a very intelligent fighter, as I said, and he knows exactly what he will have to do next time round against a very, very good heavyweight fighter in Usyk. As everybody is saying right now, and I'm pleased it's being said, the best of his generation. So if he's the best of his generation and Tyson beats him, then Tyson's the best of his generation.
A lot of talk about, I think he even mentioned it himself. He said, I was almost enjoying myself too much in there. I was having fun. Is that something that, obviously, it's always been part of his game? Whatever stage of his career he's been at, he's had hands behind his back, he's taunted and played a little bit. If he dialed that down a little bit, do you think that maybe gives him that extra 10-20% sort and push him over the line against Usyk?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a valid point. He has always done it, and that's how he is. He's not just. It's not just about fighting with it. It's also like a mental thing. And the end of that seventh round, and coming to the end of that seventh round, I generally felt, as did everybody around us, and they weren't all Tyson fans, by the way. There was some Usyk, but they all felt that he was getting to him, and there was a view that he could get him out in the next round. But he got caught with that shot on the nose, and it just sort of changed his demeanour in the fight. I've never seen that happen before. They kept touching it and touching his iron round there, and he obviously troubled him. And then he had that real bad round in the ninth, but which he was, he got through with his big heart that he's got. But it was a very, 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 very close thing. And And then and then slowly got back into it and won the last round. It was a very close fight, and it'll be a better fight next time. It was a great fight last time, but they know each other now.
Yeah,
they know each other, so it's going to be very, very interesting. It's a fight of two halves.
Yeah, 100%. I concur with that. I want to talk about another heavyweight, someone who you've promoted and you've backed through thick and thin. Daniel Dubois is coming up against Anthony Joshua. How pleasing is it from your point of view when you see a fighter like that go through adversity? I was there in Poland for the Usyk fight, and obviously he's had his critics before, but he come out the other end, showed a lot of heart against Jarrell Miller, and people against Hrgovic were writing him off before he even got in the ring, and he delivered once again. How pleasing is it for you as a promoter seeing his progression? He's sitting now as IBF champion.
It's great. I mean, I've always had faith in him from when he was a young fighter, and he's matured. And he's matured not just physically, but he's matured mentally as well now, which is a good thing. You certainly, as you said, see it in his last two fights. Now, I think he had that mental mindset in the fight against Usyk that as he had with Hrgovic and Miller. who knows? I mean, he had him in trouble. You know, there's all the debate about loads of whatever. One thing for sure, he hurt him. He gave him the toughest fight he had up until he fought Tyson. And you know, this is going to be a great fight between him and AJ. You know, they're both big punchers, and for me, it's all about with my man. It's about him working his jab, getting behind that jab. The one who lands that first meaningful punch. I'm not talking about knockout. First hurtful punch. We'll see how one of them reacts to that.
Obviously, you've delivered in the 5v5 a complete whitewash. Would this almost, although it's not built as a 5v5, be that cherry on top of the icing, umbrella sparkles on top of a big cake for Queensberry Promotions if Daniel did it?
This will be the cherry on top of the cherry on top of the icing. That's what it be. But it's a great fight between two fighters who are the top of their game. They're both winning fighters. AJ seems to have got his mojo back in his last two fights. He's done well, or last three fights he's done well. But I think Daniel's been with better quality opposition and dealt with them.
Yeah, you've had back-to-back successes in terms of the domestic scene, in terms of Brad Paul's Nathan Heaney, a terrific card there, brilliant main event, and then you had the Chisora Joyce card, which
great fight
again. I mean, that main event, and alongside, I think probably performance of the night with Dennis McCann, coming of age performance, I think you'd call it. How pleasing is it that although we're seeing these what are called mega cards around the world, your Riyadh seasons, we're still seeing that this side of the pond in the UK?
Well, we're involved obviously in the Riyadh season shows, and it's a privilege and a delight to be in there. And there's some fabulous ones coming up, especially the Wembley edition that we just talked about, Riyadh season, and I'm looking forward to that. And the undercards, a fabulous undercard. But the other shows that we're doing, they're great. They've been great competitive shows and showed what Queensberry's all about and what our investment's about and what our game plan was for the last 6 years, which was investing in young fighters, bringing them through, getting a pool of them, working specifically on a few of the weight divisions, including the heavyweight divisions, which we're very dominant at.
Yeah.
So, we're delighted.
When you look at the next crop coming through, you look at the likes of Moses Itauma, you must be licking your lips going, wow, not anybody really does that to Marius Wack. I don't care if he was 100 years old. He threw them punches at such speed and power. How pleased are you with how his career has gone so far to this date?
I love it. I mean, he's only a teenager still. He's now 19. What was so good about that win? He is a big puncher, and I thought we might get a few more rounds. You get a few more rounds under his belt, but he's a good puncher. What he has got is a fabulous jab.
Yeah.
And what you see is how he gets his distance for his punches. That jab is superb, and he measures his punches off of the jab, and that was the difference. You see other guys, they're sort of looking to throw the big shot. He doesn't. He gets behind that jab, and he breaks them down. And when he finds that angle, he lets that shot go. Shots go, and he's devastating. And what I mean by he's a teenager, but he's got to develop his strength. He's not a man yet. You know what I mean? He's not. And when he gets that strength, as he gets stronger, and he's certainly changed a lot in a nice way. By the way, he's changed a lot mentally. As he's maturing, he's getting more and more confident. His personality's coming out. He's got a lovely personality. He's a credit to boxing. It's a pleasure to be involved and working with him. And we're, as I say, from Britain's perspective, we're in real good shape as far as the heavyweight division is concerned.
Yeah, 100%. He seems to be coming out his shell a bit more. I sat down with him and Gareth Davis in Saudi Arabia, and it was the most we'd spoke, and you just thought, wow, there's still so much more to come from him, not just in the ring, but out the ring as well.
Yeah. And it's the same with Daniel. Daniel's matured as well. You listen to him now. I mean, where you couldn't get 2 words out of him. Now he's a very confident young man, 26 years of age.
What was that behind the scenes like? We saw the cameras between him and AJ, your side in the middle, and he was going, "Well, we can do it now." What?
Oh, I mean, that's what it was. It's funny. Last 2 fights, he had those sit downs where people are trying to get to him mentally, and certainly he Hrgovic was basically saying that he had no ball. Well, he said, "You've got no balls," and went on about all this nonsense. And he found out he did have balls, and he showed it in the ring. And he told him there. I remember he used that very choice word where he said, "I'm going to knock the see you next Tuesday out." And that's, I mean, what shot on it, he dropped off my chair. I never heard him swear before. And then the one with AJ, I mean, it's just out of the blue. They come on, let's do it now. I mean, you think, bloody hell, now. But it's good. In some ways, it's good to see that he's got that confidence about him. You know, he has that confidence, and he has that, you know, that he believes in himself.
Yeah.
He believes in himself, and he's in, you know, these two big punchers, both British, two big punchers in there. And when big punchers let those right hands go, that's when you're most vulnerable for the you know, as you're letting the punch go, you're vulnerable for the counter. And somebody's going to land that counter, and it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with it.
Couple more from me, Frank. Return to action, Denzil Bentley this weekend. Your call. We mentioned the British scene and obviously building fighters up. Denzil's on a you know, starting back on his run now. And what can we look forward to this weekend?
Good fight. You know, he's in with a really, really good fighter, and he's got to win it. And if he wins it, he's number 2 now, I think, in the WBO, and Hamza's number 1. Who knows? They may call for a final eliminator, which would be a great domestic bust-up.
100%, that'd be a banging fight. I want to ask you, we mentioned earlier in the interview about investment and what you've done with Daniel. You did a similar with an Anthony Yarde. Now, obviously, we know there's things going on in the background, but I just wanted to say, is there a way back for Anthony? Do you see a way back for him at all?
Yeah,
at present?
He's you know, of course there's a way back. I mean, you know, but we're in a position where we have, you know, we made our position very clear where we feel we are contractually, and we just want to get it resolved. You know, I mean, it's very sad that a talent such as his is not, you know, he's not been active.
Yeah. In terms of the boxing scene as a whole, just to finish on a positive note, have you ever known in all your years of promoting a time where boxing is sort of thriving, just sort of back to back to back, you know, like all seemingly now, it's the last 12 to 18 months, all things positive coming from it?
Look, I've got to go back to the 90s when we left ITV. We were flying at ITV, and then we went to Sky. And when we went there, we went with Ricky, with Joe Calzaghe, with Steve Collins, with Nigel Benn, with Frank Bruno, all those guys. We had all these back-to-back fights, Nat and Naz, all back-to-back fights, world title fights. And that was a real lively period. And this certainly is a lively period. I mean, it's fabulous. I mean, all what's going on in the world of boxing at the moment is great for the sport. I mean, our sport is in a very, very healthy place.
100%. Frank, I appreciate you giving us some time today. Always good catching up with you, and we'll catch up soon. Thank you.
Cheers, Matt. Thanks, mate.